The wind carried the dry scent of metal and dust across the open plains of Haven 9, a quiet agricultural planet on the edge of galactic space. The twin suns hung low over the fields, painting everything in gold and rust. Eli Ward stood there, staring at the old government screen on his comm tablet. He was tired, covered in dirt, and his boots were cracked from years of hard work. The screen flickered, showing an auction list of old military properties, things no one wanted anymore. His eyes stopped at one line: Abandoned Hangar 47B. Minimum bid. 1 credit. In human terms, that was $1. He blinked, thinking it was a mistake. Who would sell a hangar for $1? Eli's farm was dying. The soil had turned dry, the machines kept breaking, and the cost of water from the city pipelines was killing him. He had sold almost everything except his land. And now, staring at that hangar listing, something inside him said try. Maybe it was desperation, maybe fate. He pressed the bid button. 1 credit transferred. Transaction complete. That was it. No one else wanted it. The screen blinked. Congratulations. You are now the owner of property 47B. He didn't even know where it was exactly. Somewhere on the far edge of the valley near the old ridge, where people said strange lights sometimes appeared at night. When Eli told his neighbors, they laughed. You bought that, said old Rico from across the field, shaking his head. That hangar's cursed. Been locked for 50 years. Last people who went near it didn't come back the same. Eli only smiled weakly. He was too broke to care about curses. What was the worst that could happen? The next morning, with his old cargo hauler humming and his best friend, Cale, sitting beside him, he drove toward the ridge. Cale wasn't human. He was a dragonborn, tall, lean, scales along his arms, and eyes that glowed faint blue in sunlight. His kind had lived on Haven 9 for generations, mixing with settlers, but they still held a strange bond with the sky. Eli, Cale said, his deep voice rumbling softly, why this hangar? You don't even need one. You barely keep your farm running. Eli shrugged. Because it's cheap, and because I have nothing left to lose. Cale sighed and looked out the window. You humans and your madness, he muttered, but there was affection in his tone. They reached the hangar by sunset. It sat alone, half buried in the dirt, covered in rust and sand. The massive doors were shut tight, and the control panel beside them was dead. The place looked forgotten by time. Metal beams bent, old warning signs hung crooked, and faint scorch marks ran along the walls. Looks like it's been through a war, Eli said quietly. Cale sniffed the air, his nostrils flaring. Old energy, he whispered. Something ancient, not normal machinery. Eli frowned. Maybe it's just the power cells. But Cale didn't look convinced. Eli connected his portable power unit to the control panel. Sparks flew, and the system hummed weakly to life. The display blinked in an old language Eli didn't recognize. Access code required, it said. He tried a few numbers, but nothing worked. Then Cale stepped forward and touched the metal door with his clawed hand. The moment his scales made contact, the entire hangar shuddered. A deep vibration echoed through the ground. Eli stumbled back. Cale, what did you do? Cale's eyes widened. I don't know. It reacted to me. The doors creaked open slowly, a deafening metallic groan filling the air. Inside, darkness waited. Thick dust floated in the beam of Eli's flashlight. Broken crates, old cables, and strange machines lay scattered around. It smelled of oil, ozone, and something else, something alive. They stepped in carefully, their footsteps echoing. At the far end of the hangar stood a massive circular structure, like a ring fused with the floor, faintly glowing blue beneath layers of dust. The light pulsed slowly, like a heartbeat. Cale crouched beside it, his fingers tracing the surface. This is not human, he said softly. And it's not from this era. Eli frowned. You sure? Positive, Cale replied. My people have stories about technology like this, machines left behind by the first builders. But those are myths. Eli brushed his hand against the ring's side, and the glow brightened. A low hum filled the air, and the ground vibrated again, stronger this time. Suddenly, the lights across the hangar flickered on one by one. Huge lamps overhead roared to life after decades of silence. Dust fell from the ceiling, and a cold breeze swept through the building. The air shimmered, and a strange deep voice echoed through the space. Power source detected. Both Eli and Kale froze. Titan-class awakening sequence initiated. Eli's heart pounded in his chest. "What did it say?" he whispered. Kale's scales rippled in fear. "Titan-class? That's impossible. Those ships, they were legends. Planet breakers. No one has ever seen one." The ring in front of them began to spin slowly, light spilling from its edges. Symbols appeared in the air, some human, some alien. A hologram flickered above the device, showing a vast shape hidden underground, lines of power running beneath the hangar. Eli stepped closer, unable to look away. "Kale," he said, his voice shaking. "What if this isn't just a hangar?" Kale turned to him, eyes glowing brighter than before. "Then, my friend," he said slowly, "you just bought something far more dangerous than a farm shed." The hum grew louder, now like the heartbeat of a giant waking from a long sleep. The ground cracked slightly beneath their feet. The hologram flared again, revealing a single word above the image of the buried ship, Erebus. Eli stared at it, feeling both awe and dread rise in his chest. He didn't understand what he had just found, but deep down he knew one thing for certain. The galaxy was about to remember humanity, and all it took was $1. The air inside the hangar was thick and heavy, buzzing with invisible energy that made Eli's skin prickle. The strange blue ring at the center pulsed faster now, its rhythm steady and alive. Dust lifted off the floor as if the air itself was trembling. Kale took a slow step backward, his tail twitching nervously, the glow in his eyes reflecting the light coming from the strange machinery. "Eli," he said, his voice low, "this place, it's not just old, it's waking up." Eli swallowed hard, staring at the ring. "Waking up? You mean it's alive?" He tried to laugh, but his voice cracked halfway. Kale shook his head. "Not alive, aware." The word sent a cold wave down Eli's spine. Machines didn't get aware, not like this. The light from the ring spread across the floor, crawling along the walls like veins, lighting up panels and dormant circuits buried deep in the metal. One by one, ancient systems came online, filling the hangar with a faint mechanical hum that sounded like a sleeping beast taking its first breath after a long, long time. Then the voice returned, this time louder, clearer, and eerily calm. "System integrity stable. Power restoration at 24%. Awaiting command authorization." Eli and Kale exchanged a look. "Command?" Eli muttered. "It's looking for someone to give it orders." Kale's gaze shifted toward him, uncertain. "Maybe it's you," he said softly. "It reacted to your touch first." Eli frowned. "That's crazy. I'm just a farmer. I grow crops, not whatever this is." Kale didn't answer. He moved closer to a terminal now glowing with faint symbols. "These markings," he murmured, tracing one with a claw. "They look human, but older, much older. How could humans have built this when your species only joined galactic society 200 years ago?" Eli walked beside him, staring at the screen. The symbols looked strangely familiar, like old Earth military codes his grandfather once showed him in history archives. "I don't know," he said quietly, "but maybe this thing's been here longer than anyone remembers." Suddenly, the ground shuddered, and a deep rumble rolled beneath them. From somewhere below the hangar came a faint metallic groan. Massive machinery moving for the first time in ages. Dust rained from the ceiling. Kale's wings flexed in alarm. "Something's down there," he hissed. "Something huge." Eli stumbled back as a large panel in the floor slid open, revealing a staircase leading into darkness. Cool air rushed upward, smelling of metal and age. The voice echoed again, now softer, as if speaking directly to Eli. "Authorization pending. Scanning biological signature." A thin beam of blue light shot out from a nearby console, sweeping across Eli's body from head to toe. He froze, heart hammering in his chest. Kale raised his claws, ready to strike if needed. DNA confirmed, the voice said after a long pause. Human. Lineage. Ward. Access granted. Welcome back, Commander. Eli blinked. Commander? He said, stunned. No, you've got the wrong guy. But the machine didn't care. The lights across the hangar flared brighter, panels shifted, and the blue ring began to descend slowly into the floor, revealing a massive shaft below, hundreds of meters deep, glowing faintly with the same blue light. A cold breeze swept upward, carrying with it the scent of ozone and oil. Kale stepped closer to the edge, staring into the depths. Eli, he whispered, this isn't a hangar. It's a dock. There's something buried down there. The words hit Eli like a hammer. A dock? For what? Kale looked up at him, eyes wide. For a ship. And not just any ship. A Titan. The moment he said the word, the ground rumbled again. The air vibrated so strongly that Eli had to brace himself against the wall. He could feel it now. A slow, steady heartbeat coming from beneath their feet. The blue glow spread further, outlining the shape of something colossal beneath the ground. Pipes and conduits began to move, transferring energy deeper into the earth. The entire hangar was transforming into something else. Something alive, ancient, and powerful. Kale's communicator beeped sharply. He looked down, scales tightening. Transmission incoming, he muttered. A flicker of static filled the air. Then a robotic voice cut through. Unregistered energy surge detected in Sector 9. All enforcement units converge immediately. Repeat. Unauthorized Titan activation in progress. Eli's blood ran cold. They're coming, Kale said, eyes wide with panic. The Council sensors picked this up. They'll send drones, ships, whatever they can. They'll destroy this place before anyone finds out. Eli stared at the glowing pit, his mind racing. Destroy it? But why? We didn't even do anything. Kale grabbed his arm. Because Titan technology is forbidden, Eli. It's from before the Council. It's older than their laws. If they know a human is linked to it. He paused, his voice dropping to a whisper. They'll erase you. Eli pulled his arm free, his face hard. I'm not running, he said. This thing, whatever it is, it called me Commander. Maybe it knows something we don't. Kale looked at him, torn between fear and loyalty. You can't fight the Council, Eli. I'm not trying to, Eli replied quietly. I just want to know why it chose me. The hangar lights dimmed for a second. Then the deep voice spoke again, filling the entire chamber. Energy reserves at 50%. Awakening sequence in progress. Commander Ward, stand by for visual synchronization. Before either of them could react, a massive holographic projection filled the hangar. An image of a giant buried beneath the planet's surface. A ship, black as midnight, surrounded by glowing rings of energy. The size dwarfed anything Eli had ever seen. On its side, faint but clear, was an emblem. A symbol of Earth. A circle with a single blue star at its center. Eli stared at it in shock. His throat went dry. Kale, that's human. That's Earth's mark. Kale nodded slowly, his voice trembling. But that can't be. Earth was never part of the old Titan fleets. This changes everything. A loud alarm cut through the air outside. Kale looked toward the entrance, his expression turning grim. They're here, he said. Council drones. They must have followed the energy trail. Eli looked back at the glowing pit, at the ship buried below, feeling the hum of its power vibrating through his bones. Something deep inside told him he had just awakened more than a machine. He had awakened history itself. And somewhere above, in the darkening sky, the first silver Council dropships were already descending. Whatever Eli had found for $1 was about to put the whole galaxy on alert. The sun had barely risen over Haven 9 when the first Council dropships appeared. They cut through the clouds like silver knives, engines humming with perfect precision. Eli and Kale stood at the entrance of the hangar, watching as 3 dark ships descended into the field beside the farm. kicking up clouds of dust and scattering what little remained of the crops. The sight felt unreal. Eli's hangar, once a worthless piece of rusting metal, was now surrounded by armed soldiers from the Galactic Enforcement Division, all because of a light, a hum, and a single word whispered by a machine that shouldn't have existed. Kale's scales rippled as he stepped forward, his body tense, wings slightly raised in a defensive posture. "Eli," he said quietly, "once they land, you say nothing. Let me speak." His deep voice was calm but sharp. Eli nodded, though his stomach twisted with fear. He could already see the soldiers disembarking, sleek armor, glowing visors, heavy rifles trained on the hangar door. The lead officer, a tall being with silver skin and emotionless eyes, stepped forward. His voice was amplified through his helmet. "Human Eli Ward, by order of the Galactic Council, you are charged with possession of forbidden pre-council technology. You will surrender immediately." Eli opened his mouth, but Kale lifted his hand quickly. "Hold," Kale said, stepping between Eli and the soldiers. "There's been a misunderstanding. The human found this hangar abandoned. He didn't know what was inside. The officer didn't move. Ignorance does not excuse violation," he said coldly. "Deactivate the structure or we will destroy it." Before Kale could reply, a deep vibration rolled through the ground beneath their feet. The air shimmered. The hangar doors began to close automatically, sealing them inside. The soldiers outside shouted and raised their weapons, but the metal walls slammed shut with a final echoing clang. Eli turned in panic. "I didn't do that," he shouted. "I swear I didn't touch anything." The lights inside the hangar flared to life again, brighter than before. The deep voice, the same one that had called Eli Commander, spoke once more, calm and powerful. "Threat detected. Defensive protocols engaged." A surge of blue energy swept through the walls, and suddenly holographic shields formed over the outer panels. Outside, the soldiers opened fire, their plasma rounds splashing harmlessly against invisible barriers. Eli and Kale watched through a small viewing slit as bolts of light hit the hangar and vanished into thin air. Kale turned slowly toward Eli. "It's protecting you," he said in disbelief. "It thinks you're in command." Eli shook his head. "I didn't ask for this. I just wanted to see what was inside." But even as he said it, part of him couldn't look away from the power that pulsed through the floor. The air hummed like the heartbeat of a sleeping beast. "Authorization confirmed," the voice said again. "Commander Ward, activating tactical interface." From the center of the hangar, a large holographic screen appeared, showing the outside, the council ships, the soldiers, the surrounding farmland. Then, with a flash, a new image appeared, the deep underground structure. It was clearer now, no longer just outlines of metal. A massive ship, half buried in bedrock, its surface covered in scars and ancient markings. And there, along the hull, glowing faintly, was a single word, Erebus. Kale's eyes widened. "That's it," he whispered. "The name of a Titan-class vessel. The kind they said could destroy entire fleets in one strike." His gaze turned to Eli. "Do you understand what this means? That thing buried under your land, it's not just old. It's a legend." Eli stared at the hologram, his throat dry. "A legend?" Kale nodded. "The Titans were the first human warships, built before the Council existed, when humanity still ruled a part of the stars. But they vanished, all of them. No one ever found a trace. The Council erased every record." Eli looked back at the hangar door, where faint flashes of plasma still lit the air. "Then why is one buried under my farm?" he asked. Kale shook his head slowly. "Maybe the same reason you bought this hangar for $1. Maybe fate remembers even when the galaxy forgets." Suddenly, the hologram flickered. A face appeared, human, stern, wearing an ancient uniform. The man had eyes like cold fire. "Commander Ward," the hologram said, voice deep and commanding. "The Erebus stands ready for activation, awaiting your orders." Eli stumbled back, heart pounding. "Who are you?" he whispered. The hologram tilted its head slightly. "Fleet Admiral Elias Ward, commanding officer of Titan Squadron 1, Earth Defense Command. The name hit Eli like lightning. Ward, he said slowly. My name's Eli Ward. The hologram looked at him closely. Then you carry the bloodline. That is enough. The Erebus has waited for you. Kale was frozen, staring between the two of them. Eli, this ship knows your family. Outside, the soldiers regrouped, and explosions rocked the shields. The hologram flickered again, and the deep AI voice returned. Defensive power threshold nearing capacity. Recommend tactical deployment. Eli looked at Kale helplessly. Tactical what? Kale exhaled sharply. It means it's going to fight back. Before Eli could protest, a deep metallic roar shook the ground. The hangar floor split apart, massive panels sliding open to reveal enormous circular shafts filled with blue energy. The ground outside began to crack as giant steel arms pushed upward. The whole valley trembled. The soldiers scattered, their ships rising quickly as the earth beneath them broke apart. Kale shouted over the noise, Eli, it's rising. A blinding light erupted from the pit, and a colossal shadow lifted itself free from the ground. A ship larger than any city, black armor gleaming under the twin suns, ancient engines burning blue with reborn fury. The hangar wasn't a building at all, it was a cocoon, and the creature inside had finally awakened. Eli watched in stunned silence as the last of the soil fell away from the hull. The Erebus hung in the air, its sheer presence making the sky itself seem smaller. The AI spoke again, calm but powerful. Titan-class Erebus, fully operational. Commander orders. Eli took a slow step forward, his voice trembling. I don't even know what to say. Kale turned to him, eyes wide with fear and awe. Say nothing yet, he whispered, because the council will be back, and they won't come to talk next time. Eli looked up at the ship that had been sleeping beneath his feet for decades, maybe centuries, and he finally understood the truth. This was no accident. The galaxy had buried something that once belonged to humanity, and now a simple farmer had just brought it back to life. The ground of Haven 9 groaned like a living thing as the Titan-class Erebus tore itself free from the soil that had entombed it for ages. Dust and rock exploded into the sky, shaking nearby hills and scattering flocks of birds into the blazing light of the twin suns. The ship's black hull stretched for miles, smooth and scarred in equal measure, etched with symbols no one had seen in tens of thousands of years. To Eli, it looked like the bones of a god rising from a grave. He could only stare, his heart thundering in his chest. What had he awoken? Kale shielded his eyes, his wings flaring wide against the shockwaves. By the stars, he whispered. That thing shouldn't exist. The Dragonborn's voice was barely audible over the roar of breaking earth. The massive ship lifted higher, glowing lines running along its hull as the energy veins pulsed like blood under metal skin. From its underside, panels opened, and enormous stabilizers extended, holding the craft steady as it hovered over Eli's cracked farmland. Inside the hangar, consoles flickered to life on every wall. Holographic readouts scrolled across the air, showing power levels and ancient human language symbols. The voice of the ship spoke again, calm yet heavy, as if each word carried the weight of forgotten centuries. Erebus systems at 94% capacity. Atmospheric rise complete. Awaiting command input. Eli could barely breathe. He stepped forward, staring at the holographic projection hovering above the main console. You can fly, he whispered. You're alive. The AI replied, operational protocols restored. Status, dormant fleet connection lost. Commander, request mission parameters. Kale turned to him sharply. It's calling you Commander again. It really believes you're its master. Eli shook his head in disbelief. I'm no commander. I'm a farmer. I don't even know how to fly a speeder without breaking it. Kale gave a dry laugh. Then you might be about to learn faster than you want. Outside, the council ships had regrouped. From the clouds above, dozens of enforcement drones descended, their weapons glowing red. The officer's voice echoed over the comms again, furious and shaking. Human, Power down that machine immediately or we will open fire. Eli looked to Kale. If they attack this thing, Kale nodded grimly, then Haven 9 will burn. The first plasma blast struck the Erebus. But instead of leaving a mark, the shots simply vanished on impact, absorbed by an invisible field of shimmering light. The AI responded instantly. Defensive barrier holding. Retaliation not advised until authorization received. Eli turned to the glowing control pedestal. No, don't shoot back, he shouted. They're just afraid. For a moment, silence. Then the AI replied, Acknowledged, Commander. Defensive status only. Kale exhaled in relief, but his claws still trembled. Eli, he said slowly, you don't understand. The very fact that this ship exists means everything the Council told us is a lie. Humans were never the newcomers they claimed to be. Eli frowned, staring at the black ship hanging in the air like a silent titan. What do you mean? Kale turned his gaze skyward. Our oldest legends spoke of beings who built machines that could move stars. The Council said those were myths. But look, he gestured toward the Erebus. Your ancestors were part of that age. They built titans, and the Council must have buried the truth to keep their power. Eli looked down at his trembling hands. You're saying my people did this before we were human? Before the galaxy decided what human meant, Kale said softly. Maybe before the Council even existed. The ground rumbled again as a massive ramp extended from the Erebus, forming a bridge from the hangar into the ship's glowing interior. A corridor of blue light stretched ahead. Eli felt drawn to it like it was calling him home. He took one hesitant step forward. Kale grabbed his shoulder. Wait, you don't know what's inside. Eli nodded, but something deep inside urged him on. I have to know, he said. If this ship woke up for me, maybe it wants to show me why. Together they crossed the ramp. Inside, the ship's interior was vast and silent. Metallic walls curved like the inside of a cathedral, lit by streams of light that flowed like liquid through transparent tubes. The air smelled clean, new, like rain after years of drought. Holograms flickered to life as they walked. One showed star maps no longer recognized by any galactic system. Another displayed human soldiers in old armor, saluting a flag that no longer existed. The words Earth Defense Command glowed faintly beneath the image. Eli's throat tightened. Earth Defense Command, he whispered. We never had that in our history books. Kale touched one of the holograms and shook his head. They erased it all, he said. Every record, every memory. The Council didn't just forget humanity's past. They buried it. As they reached the center of the bridge, a soft hiss filled the air. A section of the floor split open, and a glowing chamber rose from beneath. A cryopod, frost still clinging to its glass. Inside lay a man. Human. His hair was white, his uniform ancient, and across his chest glowed the same insignia seen on the Erebus hull. Eli's heart stopped. Kale. There's someone inside. The AI's voice filled the chamber. Cryogenic preservation complete. Subject. Commander Elias Ward. Awaiting reanimation protocol. Eli stumbled backward. Ward. His voice broke. That's my name. Kale stared in shock. Your ancestor. It has to be. This ship was waiting for him, and it found you instead. The cryopod lights began to blink faster. Steam hissed from its seals. Reanimation sequence engaged, the AI announced. Kale took a step back, claws raised. Eli, this man, he might not even be human anymore. He's from a time no one remembers. Eli couldn't move. His heart pounded as the frost cleared from the glass, revealing the man's face in full. The stranger's eyes fluttered open, pale blue, sharp, alive. He took one deep, shaking breath, and his gaze locked on Eli. For a moment, the hangar, the farm, the entire world went silent. Then the man inside the pod spoke in a rough, dry voice. Who woke the Erebus? Eli's voice trembled. I did. The man's expression hardened, and a faint, knowing smile touched his lips. Then, descendant. The galaxy is not ready for what comes next. Kale took a slow step forward, his scales rippling in unease. Who are you? He asked. The man's gaze didn't leave Eli. Commander Elias Ward, he said. First of the Titan fleet. And if I'm awake again, then the Council's lies are finally falling apart. Outside, the Erebus floated in silence above the ruined fields, its shadow covering half the valley. And within that shadow, history had begun to breathe again. The air inside the Erebus grew colder as the cryopod's final seals released with a hiss, and ancient frost rolled across the floor like fog. The man inside, Commander Elias Ward, took his first real breath in what felt like eternity. His chest heaved as oxygen filled lungs that hadn't worked in millennia. He gripped the edges of the pod, muscles trembling, then pushed himself up with surprising strength. His uniform was old but pristine, its insignia glowing faintly, a silver planet with wings. Eli could hardly speak. It was like staring into a mirror of the past. The same eyes, same jawline, same name. But this man was older, hardened by time and wars long forgotten. Kale kept his distance, tail low, ready to leap if the man turned hostile. The ship's AI broke the silence with calm precision. Commander Elias Ward. Cryostasis duration, 11,247 years. Mission parameters incomplete. Awaiting directive. The commander turned slowly, his gaze sweeping the room like someone trying to recognize a world he no longer belonged to. 11,000 years, he murmured, his voice carrying both awe and sorrow. So the war really ended without us. He looked at Eli again, his pale blue eyes sharp. You said your name was Ward? Eli nodded, unable to find words. Yes, Eli Ward. I found this place. I didn't mean to wake you. The commander gave a faint, tired smile. You didn't wake me, boy. The ship did. It must have detected my bloodline. That means you carry the key. Kale frowned, confused. Key? What key? Commander Ward stepped out of the pod, bare feet touching the cold metal floor. The genetic encryption of the Titan fleet, he said. Our ships were bound to our DNA. Only those of our lineage could command them. That's why the Erebus obeys him. He nodded toward Eli. The blood remembers what the mind forgets. Eli's mind raced. Titan fleet? You mean there were more of these ships? Ward's eyes darkened. There were 12, built to end a war that consumed galaxies. We called it the War of Silence. The Council, if that name still means anything, was born from its ashes. Kale's jaw tightened. The Council exists. They control nearly every system now. They claim to have brought peace. Ward laughed bitterly. Peace built on buried truth. I see they learned from the best. He looked around the bridge, touching the glowing panels like greeting an old friend. If the Council rules the stars, then they rule them with stolen fire. They must have erased us, the Titans, Earth, everything, to rewrite history in their favor. Eli stared at him, struggling to process the weight of it all. You're saying they erased humanity's past to keep control? Ward turned to him sharply. I'm saying they turned you into slaves who don't even know they're slaves. Outside, the Erebus's sensors pinged with distant activity. The AI's voice interrupted. Multiple vessels approaching at high velocity. Energy signatures consistent with Council Enforcement class destroyers. Kale's scales flared. They're coming for us. Ward's calm returned instantly, the instincts of a soldier rising from the depths of memory. How many? 32 vessels detected, replied the AI. Ward smirked. 32? They'll need 1,000. He turned to Eli. Boy, you've got two choices now. Hide and pray they don't find you, or stand and remember what you are. Eli hesitated, glancing toward Kale, who gave a slight nod. We can't fight 30 ships, Eli said, fear mixing with awe. This isn't some story, this is real. We'll die. Ward placed a hand on his shoulder. You think I'm asking you to fight? I'm asking you to command. The Erebus doesn't need an army. It is one. Before Eli could respond, the air filled with the low hum of the ship's engines. The bridge vibrated, Lights along the walls shifted from blue to deep red. Combat mode initialized. Awaiting command authorization, the AI announced. Ward turned toward the main console. Authorization. Ward Prime, Omega Protocol. The AI responded instantly. Confirmed. Weapons online. Shield frequency rotating. Through the front viewport, the stars themselves seemed to tremble. Massive turrets unfolded from the ship's flanks, each as large as a building. Plasma energy coiled around them like lightning restrained by metal. Kale's jaw dropped as the Erebus rose higher into the clouds, leaving the ruined farm below. The first council ships arrived, sleek silver vessels bristling with weaponry. Their commander's voice crackled over the comms. Unknown vessel, power down immediately. You are violating council peace codes. Ward chuckled darkly. Peace codes, he muttered. That's what they called genocide last time too. Eli watched helplessly as the ships formed an attack formation. Don't do it, he said quickly. If you fight them, the whole galaxy will know we're here. Ward turned to him. Good. It's time the galaxy remembered what it tried to forget. The enemy fleet opened fire. Plasma storms streaked across the sky, hammering against Erebus's invisible shields. But not a single shot broke through. The massive ship barely shuddered under the barrage. Then Ward gave a simple command. Return fire. A single beam of energy lanced out from the Erebus, bright, silent, and impossibly fast. One council ship vanished. Then another. In seconds, the fleet scattered like terrified insects. Ward watched with cold focus, not pride. I told them once, he said quietly, that peace built on lies will always burn. Eli felt torn between awe and dread. The ship's power was godlike, but the destruction terrified him. Stop! Enough! He shouted. Ward looked at him, eyes narrowing slightly. Then he lifted a hand. Cease fire. The AI obeyed immediately. Silence fell. The remaining council ships fled, leaving behind streaks of fading light. The sky was clear again, too clear. Ward turned to Eli, his voice softer now. You stopped me, he said. That's good. You're not like us. Maybe that means there's still hope. Kale exhaled shakily. Hope for what? Ward looked out toward the stars. For a galaxy that doesn't need titans anymore. But deep down, Eli could sense something darker beneath his ancestors' calm words. Something the commander wasn't saying. The way his eyes lingered on the stars. The way his hand rested on the console as if waiting for something. And when the AI spoke again, its tone carried an eerie note. Incoming encrypted transmission detected. Origin unknown. Signature, Titan class. Eli's breath caught. Another one? Ward's lips curved into a grim smile. Not just another one, he said quietly. The Titans are waking up. Outside, beyond Haven 9's thin clouds, the stars began to flicker, as if something enormous was moving among them. Something ancient. Something alive. And for the first time in thousands of years, the galaxy was about to remember its greatest mistake. The air inside the Erebus was thick with tension. The soft hum of the ship's core seemed louder now, pulsing through the metal like a heartbeat. Eli stood frozen at the center of the bridge, his mind still trying to catch up with what the AI had just said. Another Titan class? His voice cracked slightly. He looked toward Commander Ward, who was standing near the viewport, eyes fixed on the stars. Ward didn't answer immediately. His expression had gone hard again, the kind of look that belonged to someone who had seen entire civilizations rise and fall. Yes, he said finally. They're responding to the Erebus's reactivation signal. They've been waiting. Sleeping. Just like this ship. Kale's tail twitched nervously. You mean there are more of these monsters out there? Ward turned to face him sharply. They're not monsters, he said. They were humanity's last hope. But the galaxy saw them as a threat. And maybe it was right to. Eli swallowed hard. How many are waking up? The AI's voice echoed through the chamber, calm and mechanical as always. Signal correlation complete. 7 Titan-class vessels detected within range. 3 fully responsive. 2 initiating system boot. 2 remain in deep stasis. Kale's wings flared slightly. 7 Titans? That's enough firepower to erase the Council's entire navy. Ward's eyes glinted. Exactly, which means the Council will panic. They'll send everything they have to destroy us before we remember who we are. Eli's head spun. He couldn't believe what he was hearing. You make it sound like a war is about to start. Ward turned to him with a grim expression. It never ended. The words hung in the air like a storm waiting to break. The ship's sensors pinged again, distant energy signatures blooming across the display. Ward walked closer to the holographic map hovering above the console. Massive symbols appeared, each representing a Titan ship, each pulsing with faint blue light. Leviathan, Odin's Wrath, Nemesis, Prometheus. Ward whispered their names like ghosts of an ancient time. My fleet, my brothers and sisters in command. We built these ships to protect humanity, not to conquer. But history twisted that story. Kale frowned. Protect from what? What could require something this powerful? Ward's jaw tightened. From extinction. There was an enemy long before the Council, something not from this galaxy. We called them the Voidsworn. They consumed everything in their path. Light, matter, entire worlds. Humanity stood alone against them, and the Titans were our answer. Eli stared at him, stunned. And you beat them? Ward's gaze dropped. No, he said quietly. We survived them. There's a difference. Before anyone could say more, the Erebus shuddered. Lights flickered. The AI spoke quickly. Incoming transmission detected. Titan vessel identification. Nemesis. Encryption code. Alpha Vanguard. A hologram flickered into existence before them. A tall woman in a dark uniform, her image lined with static. Her voice was calm but heavy. Commander Ward, by the stars, you're alive. Ward straightened instantly. Admiral Wren, you made it. Her holographic form flickered, revealing part of her ship's burning bridge. Barely. The Nemesis woke 3 cycles ago. We've been tracking your signal. The others are coming online, but the Council fleets are moving faster than we expected. They've declared the reawakening an extinction-level threat. Kale muttered, They're not wrong. Wren continued, urgency in her voice. We're pinned near the Soul Drift. If we don't regroup, they'll crush us one by one before we can reestablish the old link network. Ward's tone hardened. Send me your coordinates. The Erebus will jump to you. Eli blinked. Jump? You mean like hyperspace? Ward looked over his shoulder. Better. Instant phase drive. The Titans were built to move across the stars faster than light could follow. He turned to the AI. Prepare the drive. Set destination to Nemesis's last ping. The AI responded immediately. Phase jump initialized. Energy build at 60%. Kale's claws dug slightly into the floor. You're really going to drag us into this war? Ward didn't turn around. You're already in it, Dragon. You just didn't know whose side you were on. The Erebus began to hum louder. The air itself started to vibrate as the ship gathered unimaginable power. Light burst from the walls, casting long shadows across the bridge. Eli gripped the railing, heart hammering. Wait, what if something goes wrong? Ward looked at him, calm but firm. Then hold on. With a thunderous boom, the Erebus vanished. No flames, no explosion, just silence and then stars, different stars. A whole new region of space stretched before them, filled with crimson nebulae and shattered moons. At the center of it all was the Nemesis, a massive ship, black and gold, its surface scarred by recent battle. Council destroyers surrounded it like wolves circling a wounded beast. We've arrived, the AI said. Ward didn't hesitate. Bring main batteries online. Target Council vessels, precision strike. Disable, don't destroy. Eli's eyes widened. You're saving them? Ward nodded slightly. They're soldiers following orders. The real enemy is sitting comfortably on their throne. The Erebus's cannons roared to life, sending arcs of energy through the void. One by one, the Council ships lost power, drifting silently as their systems shut down. Within minutes, the Nemesis was free. On the bridge screen, Admiral Wren's hologram returned, smiling faintly despite the chaos behind her. "Still the same old Ward," she said. "Always showing off." Ward's lips twitched. "Just clearing the road." Cale stepped forward, awe in his voice. "You just fought an entire fleet in less than a minute." Ward ignored him, turning to Eli. "You did good, kid. You held your ground." Eli frowned. "I didn't do anything." "You stayed," Ward said simply. "That's more than most would have done." The Admiral's image stabilized. "Ward, we can't stay here. The Council has mobilized their prime fleet. If they find out more Titans are awake, they'll send everything." Ward nodded. "Then we move first. It's time the galaxy hears the truth." Eli hesitated. "What truth?" Ward's expression hardened. "That humanity never died. It was erased." The Erebus and Nemesis turned in perfect unison, their engines burning brighter than the suns around them. In the distance, faint echoes of awakening Titans began to rumble through the void, enormous signals blinking to life one by one. Cale looked at the star map, his scales shimmering in the light of the consoles. "You're calling them all back, aren't you?" Ward nodded. "Every last one. The Titans will rise again. Not for war this time, but for justice." Eli looked out at the glowing stars, his heart torn between fear and wonder. Somewhere deep inside, he could feel the weight of the moment, the sense that the galaxy was standing on the edge of something enormous. Signal confirmed. Titan fleet awakening sequence complete. Humanity has returned. Far away on countless worlds, Council leaders stared in horror at the incoming data. For the first time in 10,000 years, the galaxy trembled, not from invasion, but from the return of a species it had tried so hard to forget. The stars burned brighter that night, or maybe it was the awakening Titans reflecting their ancient light back into the void. Across systems that had forgotten the name of Earth, colossal shadows stirred. The galaxy's oldest ghosts were moving again. On the bridge of the Erebus, Eli stood beside Commander Ward, staring at the holographic display filling the room. Dozens of blue signals pulsed across it, each one a Titan-class ship coming back online. It was beautiful, terrifying, and utterly impossible to look away from. Cale paced behind them, wings twitching. "You're calling every one of them?" he asked, his voice low and uneasy. "Do you realize what that means, Commander? The Council will declare total war before you finish the sentence." Ward didn't look up. "They already have," he said calmly. "We intercepted their transmission. Every fleet, every outpost, every loyal system is mobilizing." He glanced at Eli. "They're scared, and they should be. Fear makes empires show their true face." Eli's chest tightened. "But what happens to everyone caught in between? The innocent ones? The farmers, the miners, the traders who just want to live?" Ward finally turned toward him. His expression softened slightly, for the first time since waking from his cryopod. "That's why we're doing this right, Eli. We're not here to burn the galaxy. We're here to show it the truth it was denied." Cale frowned. "Truth doesn't stop plasma fire." "No," Ward said, "but truth survives it." The Erebus vibrated as its engines stabilized. Admiral Wren's hologram reappeared beside them, still flickering but clearer than before. "Ward, we've managed to contact Prometheus and Leviathan. They're operational and moving to rendezvous." Ward nodded. "Good. That's half the fleet. What about the others?" "Still dark," Wren replied. "We'll need time to reach them." Ward's gaze hardened. "Then we buy it." He turned to the AI. "Project fleet status to all open channels. It's time we speak." Eli blinked. "You're going to broadcast?" Ward nodded. "The Council erased us from history. It's time the galaxy hears us for itself." The ship's systems shifted. Holographic emitters glowed as Ward stepped to the center of the bridge. A faint light formed around him, and then his voice echoed not just through the Erebus, but through thousands of star systems. Every military channel, every public frequency, every satellite relay picked it up. "This is Commander Elias Ward of the Titan Fleet." His voice thundered across the stars. To every world under Council control, humanity lives. We are not myths. We are not gone. We built the walls that protect your skies, the engines that drive your ships, the medicine that flows through your veins. We gave you peace, and the Council gave you lies. In marketplaces, control rooms, and quiet homes across the galaxy, countless beings froze as the transmission spread. Ward continued, his tone calm but cutting like a blade. You've been told that humanity destroyed itself, that we were violent, reckless, unworthy of the stars. That was the Council's story. The truth is simpler. They feared what we created. They feared our freedom. They feared our power to choose. Kale looked at Eli, his throat tightening. He's going to start a revolution. Eli could only nod. The words carried a weight he couldn't deny. Ward's voice softened now. I was there when the Titans fell silent. I thought our time was over. But humanity endures not because of strength but because of hope. The same hope that built these ships. The same hope that now burns again. He paused, looking straight into the holographic lens. The Council says we are the past. I say we are the beginning. The transmission cut. Silence followed. Deep, heavy, endless. Kale exhaled slowly. Well, he said, you just told an entire galaxy their gods are liars. Hope you know what comes next. Ward smiled faintly. Oh, I do. They'll send the Prime Fleet. The ship's alarms suddenly blared. The AI's voice cut through the air. Warning. Multiple warp signatures detected. Council Prime Fleet emerging from hyperspace. Count. 1,712 vessels. Eli felt his stomach drop. That's the largest fleet in recorded history. Ward didn't move. Then we'll make it history again. The Erebus turned slowly, its massive engines igniting. Out in the void, the Council's armada appeared, an ocean of warships stretching from one horizon to the other. Their silver hulls glimmered like blades in sunlight, their weapons glowing blue. At their center was a colossal vessel unlike any other, the Celestial Crown, flagship of the Council. Admiral Wren's voice came through the comms. Ward, we can't take them head-on. Not even with 4 Titans. Ward's eyes narrowed. I'm not planning to. We'll give them a reason to hesitate. He tapped a command on the console. The holographic map zoomed out, revealing dozens of smaller signals moving toward the Titan's position. Not warships, but civilian ships, thousands of them. Freighters, transports, colony vessels. Kale's eyes widened. They're following your signal. Civilians. Refugees. Ward's voice was low. Every soul who heard the truth is coming. The Council can't fire without turning them into martyrs. Eli felt his chest ache. They're risking everything for us. No, Ward said softly. For freedom. Then the Prime Fleet's lead channel opened. A cold, imperious voice filled the Erebus. This is High Chancellor Vorin of the Galactic Council. Power down your vessels and surrender the Titans. Refusal will result in total annihilation. Ward smiled slightly. You erased us once, Chancellor. Let's see you try again. Then humanity will burn, Vorin spat. Ward's voice turned like steel. No, Chancellor. Humanity doesn't burn, it forges. He turned to Eli and Kale. Ready the shield generators. We're not fighting them. We're showing them. The Erebus and its sister Titans moved into formation, their massive hulls aligning in a perfect circle around the arriving civilian ships. A golden glow spread between them, connecting each Titan like a web of light. The AI's voice spoke softly. Omega defense barrier at full power. Civilian protection network engaged. As the Council fleet opened fire, their plasma rounds struck the golden barrier and vanished, absorbed harmlessly. The civilians below watched in awe as the Titans stood unmoving, an unbreakable wall between them and destruction. Eli gripped the console tightly, whispering, You're protecting them, even now. Ward nodded. That's what humanity was built to do. Then the Celestial Crown began to charge a weapon larger than any seen before, a beam capable of splitting moons. Kale's scales rippled in fear. Ward! That's going to kill everyone here. Ward looked calm, too calm. Then it's time to remind them what Titans were truly made for. He turned to the AI. Command override. Engage Ascension Protocol. The AI hesitated. Warning. Protocol activation will consume entire ship core. Probability of survival, less than 2%. Ward smiled faintly, looking at Eli. Every legend needs a sacrifice. Eli's voice broke. Wait, there has to be another way. But the Erebus was already changing. The light around it deepened into blinding gold. Energy flared across its hull, flowing into the barrier around the civilians. The ship's hum grew into a roar that shook the heavens themselves. And when the celestial crown fired, the beam struck the barrier and stopped. For a heartbeat, the galaxy was silent. Then the explosion of light spread across the void like a sunrise. When it faded, the Council's fleet hung powerless. Their weapons gone, their shields dead. The Erebus was gone too, vanished into the light it created. Eli fell to his knees, trembling. He did it. Kale placed a claw on his shoulder. No, he said softly. He became it. Remember, this power is not in what you destroy. It's in what you protect. Eli closed his eyes. Somewhere deep in the stars, he could almost feel Ward's presence. Not gone, but watching. And as the Nemesis and Leviathan carried the civilians toward safety, Eli whispered to himself, "We're home again. Even if we don't remember where that is." Far across the galaxy, the Council's throne world flickered with static. The High Chancellor stared in silence as the transmission ended, the word humanity burning across every screen. And for the first time in 10,000 years, the galaxy didn't fear humans. It believed in them,